Good
All right.
afternoon,
Yeah,
everyone.
great.
Spence Medford here with the Henry Ford. Good to see everyone today. We have a really special occasion today. Charter member of the Drivers Club, Rick Mancuso, it's all about Ferrari today. So, and his brother Rob, I see, is on the chat with us. So we're so pleased, Rick, that you've agreed to host the Drivers Club today. But before we kick it over to you, I noticed the chair of our illustrious group here, Larry Smith, is back with us today. Larry, if you want to unmute your mic there, a few words before we get going.
Yes, I sure do. You know, anytime we have something that involves with Ferraris, I'm all in. So, Rick, thanks in advance for doing this.
My pleasure.
You know, I think everybody's looking forward to it. I'm sure it's going to be great.
Me too.
You know, we're working on some real special things, just so everybody knows, you know, that hopefully we'll be putting together in the near future. So both involving people and elections. So with that, you know, Rick, we're anxious.
Great. Well, thank you. And welcome, everybody. This is really fun.
So, Rick, yeah, Rick,
yes.
we're great. We're grateful to have you here. I just before I kick it over to you, we've got some new. Our guest list is climbing. Boy, you've really attracting a group here. They keep filing in. So
old enough to know it's the car, not me.
No, might be a combination of the two.
Well,
but
take it.
For those of you that are new to the Henry Ford's Drivers Club, this is a philanthropic group. It's a group that supports the mission activities of the Henry Ford. We have two levels of membership: charter membership and annual membership. And if you're still on the fence about joining the Drivers Club, if you've been taking a test drive with us, the time is now. We certainly appreciate your support. Look forward to. We've got a lot of great things, Larry, as you mentioned, ahead for us in the new year, and we want you all to be a part of it. Now, before I turn it over to you, Rick, a little bit about you. You're a third-generation car guy. You have quite the family history there in the Chicago area. I've read that you in your life, in addition to being all about cars, you've been a ski instructor. You've been a race car driver, and in addition to being a Ferrari dealer, you also, you're a modest guy, but Rick does some amazing work with our Navy SEALs. He has set up a program where he basically helps active duty, taking Navy SEALs from active duty to future careers outside of the military. And so along the way, I'd love, Rick, for you to talk a little bit about that program. I think our group is very interested in it. But now, without further ado, Ivana, if you'll spotlight our friend Rick Mancuso. We're there in Lake Forest, Lake Bluff, I guess, technically. Rick, take it away.
Thank you very much for the kind and gracious introduction. Well, come on inside. And let me show you around. There'll be lots of touch points with the Navy team guys, and we'll be sure to point those out. But frankly, this is the new part of the showroom in here. And these are the latest corporate ID designs by Ferrari. This is an unusual campus. It's a U-shaped building. It's 67,500 feet on 5 acres. And when we took it over, we bought it in '05. We had no exterior windows and no interior walls. So we had a clean canvas to go ahead and design it the way we wanted. And someone said, how did you come up with the ideas? I said, well, when you have about 40 years to think about how you do a building, you kind of get real clarity in your mind. So we've had a lot of fun with this. Previously, up until 16, we had 5 brands here. But in 16, we went with Ferrari only. We sold off McLaren, Lotus, Maserati, and Aston Martin. We've been the longest tenured Aston dealers in the world. We had 36 straight years. And that was a hard one to let go, but we had to go for all in on Ferrari, and that's been a really wonderful decision for us, and it's really grown our business multifold. So what I'd like to do is show you and take a walk through the campus here. We got a lot of 12 cylinders on this side. These cars are the new 812s. It's been very well received. 800 horsepower street car, no electric hybrid at all. non-turbocharged V12s, which we're going to have at Ferrari for a while, and we'll likely not have hybrid 12s for a while either. They seem their commitment is very strong with our 12-cylinder engine, which is really an important part of everything that we do. We're going to go into the service area first. Go ahead, Spence.
So Rick, just sorry to interrupt. I was just going to remind our viewers here, if you have a question for Rick, feel free to stop him, interrupt him. You can take your microphone off of mute, or if you're more comfortable, I'll be monitoring the chat. You can put your question in the chat and I'll forward that to Rick. We do ask that you keep your microphones muted though when you're not speaking, just to avoid any feedback. Also, to point out, to really have the best view here, you might want to change your setting to speaker view, because by doing that, it really highlights Rick in the collection here and puts the rest of us in the gallery. All right, enough for the housekeeping. Rick, take it away.
This is our service area. It's kind of fun for us to see this. This is around 30,000 feet right in this area. We have 31 working stalls. The interesting part is you could fit 2 of our previous dealerships into this room. So we really had a lot of space. We went from about 12,500 square feet in one 50-year-old building to renovating this building. This building actually is 50 years old. But we spent a lot of, as I tell guys, 4,000 gallons in paint, 2,000 man hours, and 6 months renovating it. So we have 3 performance stalls over here. You can see some of the Ferrari XX boxes. That's for the LaFerrari Evo and part of the Ferrari Corsa Cliente program. I know they've got an Aston going now. Everyone, I think, has a secret desire to start a car as soon as I'm on the phone or start talking, but they're good sounds anyway. 3 areas that we detail cars right here, and there's 1 for alignment. You'll notice the Ferrari red forklift truck in the background with the shield on it as well. That's semi-official Ferrari. And we did that here. So we have 24 service stalls, 12 on each side, 6 lifts on each side. And the area was designed back here so that we have service for electric, air, and digital on each rack. And it goes up into the ceiling so that we don't have cords laying all over the floor. We take a lot of pride in our service area. We have 5 Ferrari techs now. Since we sold the other brands off, we've gone from having 2 Ferrari technicians to 5. And we plugged in all the new cabinets. We had the team guys design it. And you go back to the seals. A buddy of mine from the University of Iowa,
Rick, we might need you to get back into another space. The internet connection is a little weak. Rick, Fran, we might need you to move back into the main space, because we've got you frozen. Sorry, folks, having a little technical difficulties, the joys of Zoom and live TV. We'll try to get Rick back here. Oh, you're back, Rick.
I can't hear Spence.
So Rick, can you hear me?
There we go.
Rick,
I can hear you now.
Your Wi-Fi connection there is a little tough. You might have to get back into the main showroom, because you're freezing up there.
Okay. We'll check our phones. Okay. Okay. Any better, Spence?
That's better. That's better.
Okay.
That's better.
Are we live again?
Yep, we're live. We're live.
Okay. Sorry. Anyway, Joe Selenik, the professor from University of Iowa, asked me if we would help special team guys transition from active duty to inactive duty. We had no idea what that meant. We certainly respect what they do, so we said yes. And a couple of weeks later, a few of the guys stopped back. And we developed a program of just giving them quality hang time outside of the military world that they live in, because it seems if they're afraid of anything in their lives, it's generally not being in the military. So we serve as kind of a middle ground. We have an office here for them. They can hang out here. They help us. In fact, we have one of the guys that comes in and talks to our service department twice a month. And they've helped coach us on team concepts. They say they've learned a lot from us. We've actually learned a lot from them. We've redesigned how we run our service department and service area here to a point where by Ferrari, we were rated top 3 in the world last year. And we were not that way in 16. 16, we went direct to a team concept. We've learned more from just listening to the SEALs and learning how they think and talk and act and respect their core values. So you'll see things that are various touch points as we walk around where they've had a profound impact on how we run our business. Everything is run on a team concept back here in service. And I can tell you it's been enormously successful and rewarding. And all the guys are real proud of it. When we hire someone, they have to interview with our team as well. And if the team doesn't like them, they don't get hired. They don't support the team will cut them loose. So it's all about the team. And we focused on that. And there's nothing that we won't do from a management standpoint to support the team. I'm part of it, but my job is to cover their back. So what I like to do is try and provide the best working conditions, the best uniforms, the best tool conditions, the best training, the best atmosphere, the best tool benches, pictures. One of the things we've been doing since the pandemic started in March, we have lunch here every day. So no one has to leave for lunch. Everybody has lunch right here. That's been such a rewarding program for us. It's kept everybody healthy. I think we're probably going to continue this on forever because it's been so much of a team building experience. But we'll walk around a little bit more. I'll point out, if you can see these cars directly over this way, Fran, these are all service cars. You can see right now we've got 24 Ferraris in for service. The ones outside are service cars waiting. And then these are service cars that are generally done right over here. This is our service reception area. We have 3 guys that have been with us a long time and do a great job. Like a micro version of these big dealers. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, Rick, I've had the privilege of being there in person, and I will tell you, your service area is so pristine. I mean, you could have dinner or lunch right there on the floor. I mean, it's just, and the team is, just top notch. So hopefully when we can all be together. Yeah, hopefully when we can all be together, we can come visit in person.
That'd be great. We're like a micro version of a big dealership. I always tell everybody here, I want everything to be Penske perfect. Because one of these days he'll drop in and want to see this dealership. And I will not make any excuses for the captain. It's got to be Penske ready all the time. And this may not look like much of a parts area. This is our parts area to support Ferrari. But there's about $750,000 worth of parts back here.
Wow.
Each one of these cabinets probably holds 40,000 or so parts. It's pretty profound, actually, the way they do that. And most dealerships have parts return programs. Ferrari takes a position that their parts age like wine and they become more valuable over time. So we don't have the opportunity to return parts. So I have parts going back 30 or 40 years, which actually is now we're doing classics. It helps. This is kind of a break room for our guys.
Yeah.
It's actually used quite a bit at night and also during lunch hours. We've got video and satellite, and we've got some training computers for driving and our pool. And we've got a Ferrari beer cooler over there.
Looks like a great place to have an event.
Well, we spend a lot of time here. So this is kind of one of the wings of the dealership. Our administrative office is over to the left side. We're going to go down through some of the hallways here so you can see. I know it's like a little bit of a maze, but it's a big U-shaped facility.
So Rick, remind me, you've been there 21, 22 years?
Since 05. Since Downtown Lake Forest for 23 and then 15 years here.
I gotcha.
This is something, I mean, it sounds like a little thing, but I thought it was kind of a big deal. We used to have these old high school looking lockers that we've all had. And I wanted to do something to kind of step it up. So we had this, just give us a quote on designing lockers. So we made these Ferrari red lockers in here. And then we were saying, someone said, well, we should put numbers on them. So each guy has a number. And I said, well, let's come up with a better idea. Let's brainstorm a little bit. Why don't we ask each tech what his favorite Ferrari is, or what guy his favorite Ferrari is. And as we look around the room here, we can see who loves which car. We had them made out of the vinyl set of 92.
Hey, Rick, you'll appreciate this. Member of our group said that Mr. Penske could take some lessons from you on your service area.
I don't know about that. He's everyone has heroes. You know, he's certainly one of mine. But we try real hard, and it's a great team. So this is our lunchroom area, and we've gotten pretty good at preparing lunches to a point where we have kind of our own portable kitchen out here. In fact, they were barbecuing today because the weather's so nice. We have our barbecuing over in the corner. This room here is one of the remaining loading docks. There were two. We filled this one in because it went down like most of them do. And if you need to know what it takes in gravel to fill a loading dock in, it's one of those things I came across. It's 44 dump truck loads of gravel to fill a loading dock before you can put the cement back on top. But we do snow tire storage for guys because we encourage everyone driving cars all around the calendar. The Cobra under the plastic there is a privately owned car by one of our great customers who does a ton of business with us, and that's considered one of the finest cars, Cobra restorations ever. He bought it at RM a few years ago, and out of respect for his privacy and so forth, I'm not going to really. I've got to show a little bit. It's so special.
Okay, yeah, just
I don't think you'll
just a little.
I have to.
Yeah.
Because you don't see this all the time.
Yeah.
And pull this up a little bit. I'm not breaking any privacy laws or anything, but look at this beautiful, beautiful signed original Cobra.
Wow, there it is.
That's really spectacular.
It is. That is spectacular.
It's fun to have that around. I can see I'm losing battery charge on the earbuds, I think.
No,
So,
we still hear you.
okay. It's a 365 GTC4 we just finished setting up. Beautiful driving Ferrari, the touring Ferrari. Wonderful car. This was the friendlier version of the Daytona. And it had power steering, air conditioning, and a back seat, all the things that Daytonas didn't have and were known not to have. I'm sending this to a customer of ours out in California who's just starting a Ferrari collection right now, so it's really fun. Go through these cars. They take longer than you think all the time. Tyler. We got a race car in for service, one of the 458 Challenge cars. It's an out-of-state client. Got a number of maintenance programs going, one on an F50. This is an interesting car in the corner too. The next Nicolato Rally Car. I think they made about 12 or 13 of them. Allegedly, there's 3 or 4 in North America. This is one of them. Actually, it's owned by a buddy of mine, Warren Mosler. And Warren's left it with me for, I don't know, the last 30 years or so. We ran it in SCCA for a while. I took it to the runoffs twice. And now we're just doing a full restoration to make sure it's perfect and ready to go. And we've got a couple of people that we're talking to about buying. It's a wonderful vintage car to have.
Wow. We're
just making sure that it's as good as it can be. Unusual, of course, the F50. These are always fun. It's a Dino that we finished recently. We did a full restoration on that. That's back for service now. That guy's been driving it all over the country. Had a great time with it. We've been able to put some modern touches on that too, which is improving the headlights, air conditioning system, and some power steering as well. F40, we just finished the service on that one. I had the chance to drive it Saturday to give it its final road test, which was really fun and kind of a homecoming for me. I was lucky enough to be able to do the top speed test in 1989 with car and driver for the F40. And if you listen to these numbers I'm going to tell you, you'll appreciate how far the cars have come. We broke every performance record for a passenger car ever known in 1989. We ran the quarter mile in 11.9. No passenger car ever broke in 12 seconds. We broke 120 miles an hour. We went 124. We broke 200 miles an hour, and that's where I came in. I got the chance to drive it, and I set it at 202. And then we broke the 0 to 60 time as well. Now, you know, today, there's probably a whole group of cars we could jump in with one or two of our friends, hold a cup of Starbucks coffee, and shatter all those records right there.
Yeah.
So it's come a long way, but I'll tell you, driving the car on Saturday made me feel that I'd like to take another shot at that 202. I think we could push that up about 5 or 6 miles an hour. That's how much confidence the car gives you. And it's just a marvelous Ferrari, wonderful Ferrari to have around, to drive, and to be associated with.
So Rick, maybe you can hold on to it for a little while longer so you can do that, you know?
Well, you and I both know the owner. He's a good friend of ours. He's an Ohio gentleman.
Oh.
So
Maybe I can send him a little text, Rick, and say, hey, you know, Rick needs to keep that car for a little while longer.
you guys got to do one more thing. I'll tell you, when I was driving it, we knew we had a 4% air in the speedo, and the car and driver guys had run it at 197, and I was kind of hoping we could break 200. So I didn't want to drive it because I didn't want anything to go wrong after we'd run 197 officially with Ferrari, but then I had a chance. The owner of the car was a buddy of mine. He said he's not leaving till I drove it. So I took it out for one lap, and it felt so good. I decided to keep my foot down a little longer through the corners, and we set the 202 lap. But I was doing the math in my head to figure out when I broke 200. So I knew I speedo had to read at least 210, and then I'd be up over 200 for sure. So I got it up to 211. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, Rick. It made me think, you know, your passion, your background in racing and your passion for racing, is that really, I know you have your family has a whole history with GM and Chevrolet, but is it?
Absolutely, yeah.
Was it your passion for racing that really got you interested in moving in the Ferrari direction?
I just love cars. I'll show you a picture we were talking about earlier. I started loving cars when I was 3 years old. I got the picture to prove it. But yeah, certainly Ferrari's part of it, Corvette's part of it, Chevrolet's part of it. There's cars in general, performance stuff. So it's always been fun. But back to the F40. So I've got the speedo reading 211. And so I know I'm up over 200. And so I feel good. I know I'm up over 200. And then the devil on one side of me says, because the speedometer reads 220. And so the child comes out in me, and the devil goes, hey, why don't you bury the speedo? Put it up to 220. That'd be fun. Just bury it at 220. That'd be really cool. And the other side of me, reason says on the other side, what are you doing? Slow down. Pull it into the pits. Don't have any chances. So I pulled in and stopped it. But you got a little unfinished business with the top speed there, I think. We'll revisit that at some point, I think, in the future. So in here is my youngest son, Nick, with one of our oldest salesmen. He's quite an old gentleman. Tyler's been with us for 30 years. We're kidding.
Hi, Nick.
We caught Tyler right before nap time in the afternoon, right, Tyler? In between naps, yeah.
All right. Hi, Nick. You can hear us?
He can't hear you.
Oh, okay.
But then in the back, I'll show you a little Ferrari corporate ID as well with our beautiful Ferrari red full leather table and chairs set up. It's beautiful, and we actually use it quite a bit more than we thought. So their design and color selections are outstanding. As you'll see, we're going to move over to one of the lounge areas. We're going into the main area. This is the main formal Ferrari showroom. This is the more pre-owned Ferrari showroom. We really don't stock new cars with Ferrari. Every once in a while, we may have a few demonstrators around. This is a lounge area as designed by Ferrari. I mean, right down to what's sitting on the shelf, the pictures on the wall, the carpeting, the end tables, everything about it. So clients have a place to wait or hang out, which hasn't been too often since this whole virus situation started, but we'll be using it again soon. And we're doing a little facelift on it. They have some updates to this, which is interesting as well. Beautiful. So you get a chance to see the different trophies and so forth that our challenge guys have earned over the years. This is a beautiful Daytona Coupe we have here, one of my favorite cars. Daytona's got so much history for so many reasons with Ferrari, but I think I'm partial to silver. Over here, we have kind of the Portofinos, our lineup. We have 2 tailor-made cars, which are the limited edition. This is a limited edition Portofino in silver, and then one in the blue color here. The other 3 are trades.
Wow.
You still hear me okay?
Yeah, we got you. Yep.
Okay, because my earbuds are starting to ping like they're running out of juice. But so far, so good. Okay.
Yep.
This is an area called the atelier. As you walk here from this tile under the wooden floor, you've now entered a land where time and money have no meaning. Once you're in this room, somehow the atmosphere seems to change, and people lose all sense of reason in here. You can see all the different leathers and seats and wheels and colors and rotors and calipers and steering wheels. This is a Monza, by the way, if you haven't seen the Monza.
Oh, wow.
This is one we have on display. It's a pretty spectacular car.
Tell Fran to zoom in on that and spend a little time, talk a little bit about that.
I think he's working on it right there. Spend some time on that. 800 horsepower plus, limited edition. Ferrari approved all the clients, 499 made for the world. It even comes with a period correct outfit. This is the first car in what's called the Icona series. Ferrari's going to make 5 limited edition cars that are tied to their history over the next 10 years so that collectors can get started without having to spend the enormous values that the true collector cars are trading for. For example, a Ferrari Monza today is probably a $4 or $5 or $6 million car. This car is around $2 million. So in theory, with 5 of these models coming out, someone could spend up to $10 million, have all 5, and have an instant Ferrari collection going forward. If they did that with the real versions, that number would probably be, depending on what models they use, it could be as high as $150 million or more. So
wow.
It's a very interesting concept. Sold out, trading at a premium if based on the offers that we hear from other clients who didn't get them, but everyone's looking for them right now. We're going to take a view down here.
And that
shortly, we're going to circle back.
Spoken for. That one is.
They're all sold.
They're all
sold. Yes.
Okay.
We've delivered, I think, 5 or 6, and we have 2 or 3 more coming in, and that's the end of it until they bring out the next one, which is probably a year and a half away. These are mainly pre-owned cars back here. Showroom area. I think I have 2 new cars here in the dealership in this section. I have these 2 tailor-made Portofinos, and then we have a Lusso 8-cylinder and a Lusso 12-cylinder. That's it. Everything else you see up here is pre-owned, which is the bulk of our business. Give you an example. Last year in 19, we delivered 163 Ferraris. That was broken out to be somewhere around 95 new cars, 75 or so pre-owned Ferraris. We did 23 other brands. So our target for this year was to be at 200, but we will not achieve that this year because it's been choppy with the virus and the shutdowns and so forth. But we've got through it remarkably well. And we do a pretty brisk business. Right now, in the last several months, we've been running 8 to 10 pre-owned a month. That business has spiked up. We seem to have snuck in under the recreational vehicle umbrella, where people are enjoying driving, people are enjoying road trips again. Here's the new Roma. This just came in a couple of days ago. This is a car you'll be reading about. This is our first one. There's Adam walking by as well. Adam, I'm online with Spence right now.
Hi, Adam.
Yeah. You get a picture of Adam here because Adam and Spence know each other as well.
Hi, Adam. Good to see you.
I can't see you guys, but I say hello.
Yeah.
All right.
We're doing it at
Good to see you, Adam. Thank you.
Okay. So anyway, that's the new Roma, which is pretty spectacular GT car. On either side of it, we've got some 812 pre-owned superfasts. So this area is kind of an interesting area. One of our early clients was Herb Kohler from the plumbing fixtures in Kohler, Wisconsin. And in our previous building, it was a former DeSoto dealership from the 40s that we converted to some version of a Ferrari dealership in the early 80s. And Herb Kohler was down there one day because he bought a Ferrari from us. He used one of our washrooms, and he said, I've got to take all your fixtures out of here, and I want them in my museum. That's how old and terrible they are. They should not be in this dealership. You should have all my fixtures. And I said, well, you know what, Mr. Kohler, I will, but I've been leasing here for 20 plus years. I'm done putting money into someone else's building. When I get my own building, I will do nothing but spend as much money as I can on our bathrooms.
Oh,
So I made that promise to him. So I'm going to show you the ladies' bathroom that
okay.
we designed to look like a 5-star hotel downtown.
Wow. Wow. Look
And
at
these
that.
are all the latest color plumbing fixtures, lighting, colors, faucets, fragrances, flowers, pictures. It's pretty nice.
So
And it was a
Rick,
good investment for us as well.
so Rick, how much direction do you, I mean, how involved does Ferrari get, down to the restrooms like this? I mean, or do you have a little leeway?
Very little.
Yeah.
Here's the guys. We did a Steve McQueen version for the guys. So it's different. We've got some race pictures in here. We're big Steve McQueen and Paul Newman fans here.
There you go.
For all the right reasons. So anyway, we get a lot of comments on our washrooms, but they're pretty cool, pretty nice.
Very cool.
And it's a wonderful investment. This area here is terrific because we do a number of events here during the year. Each side of these counters has washing machine, microwave, wine cooler, fridge, about anything you can need. These are the bars. This is where everybody hangs out. This was a big, huge house, which it is in a way. This is kind of like the kitchen. So we can set this up. In fact, on the other side here, the big room we just walked through, we've had events where we've had dinner for 400, sit-down dinner. We think we could probably do a sit-down dinner for up to 1,000 people.
Wow.
I don't know that we're going to challenge that as a record, but the big events are off the table for a while. So that we've had that capability. I should point out this beautiful black and white here. This is Ferrari's Revenge at Daytona.
Mm.
And if you go to the lower right-hand picture, that car is currently in the possession of the same gentleman who owns the F40
Okay.
in the other room. It's yellow now
Yeah.
because after it was on the racetrack, Dean Martin bought it for his son Dino, who turned it into a street car that he ran around LA in for a number of years. So it got restored to street car specs, which is yellow with blue wheels. And it was at Pebble last year.
I was going to say, I thought it was at Pebble either last year or a couple of years ago. I remember
I think it was
that.
last year, but
I remember
the
that
years are
gentleman
speeding
driving.
by.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so we want to have that car out here at some point undercover in front of this. In fact, when we do our evening with Edsel, that we will schedule one of these nights, that's where we'd like to have the same car here, which would be kind of fun to have. And we'll have a special Ford product here as well.
Yeah,
So
certainly.
we have,
For our Drivers Club members listening here, we certainly want to have a weekend in Chicago. Chicago's a great place to visit and see some collections there. And Rick has graciously offered, certainly pre-pandemic, to do a gathering here at your dealership. I look forward to that.
me too. The key to Chicago right now is stay in the suburbs. So
Yeah.
they've got to sort it out a little bit more. This is a lineup that's kind of our supercar lineup. These are all cars that clients of ours have owned and they bought. And we have them on display just because you never have an opportunity to see things like this. A quick rundown is the car on the far left is a Sergio. They made 6 of those for the entire world. There's 2 in North America, 1 in Beverly Hills and 1 here in Chicago. They're all extremely rare cars. Right next to it is the LaFerrari Coupe. You can see as we go down, the Koenigsegg, the Pagani, the TDF, the Koenigsegg 1-to-1, and then one of the Evo XXKs, terrific Ferrari, part of the Corsa Cliente program. So these are fun to have. By the way, when you're asking about the showrooms and the setup, hi, Greg. And how much does Ferrari drill down?
Yep.
Carpet color, chairs, desk. It's drilled down all the way.
Wow.
So, and you know what? Most of their suggestions, almost all of them, make some sense. because they're always so brand protective, and we get it because we know how important that is. Here's an Indian motorcycle that one of our clients restored. We're getting ready to roll that out. You don't see that every day.
So
You take a shot of this Indian motorcycle.
yeah, on that, I know we've got Matt Anderson on the line here. Matt, do we have an Indian in our collection?
We do, absolutely. Yeah, it's we'll have to do something with the Drivers Club with our motorcycle collection one of these days. Sadly, not much of it is on view right now in the museum, but we've got some pretty special pieces.
It's fun. I'm not much of a motorcycle guy, but I can appreciate the beauty of them when they're all finished. This is a little area down in the corner where I keep some of the more unusual cars that are really not for sale. I'm trying to do a little bit of Bruce Meyer knockoff with some of my photos and take his theory and so forth. How to stage guy. I know I have a long way to go, but we do have another storage building down the street, and I've kept every sign I've had, every fluorescent sign I've had for the last 40 years.
Wow.
I've had them all rebuilt. We're going to put them up at some point and kind of raise the level up. But I'm standing right next to a 71 Corvette that I bought about 2 weeks ago. Listen to this. It's a car that I sold new in 1971 at my father's dealership.
Wow.
And it got tracked down. It's one of one. It's the only convertible ZR1 in 71 ever made. It's a real L88 chassis with a solid lifter small block in it. 16,000 original miles. So it's really fun to have this car back. I have all the documents from the day it was ordered at my father's dealership until I bought it, 2 weeks ago. We're going to finish off a few things and put the original hard top back on it. But it's really fun to see some of that come back home again.
So
Over
Rick,
here,
Matt's a real, Fran, you might want to stay on that. Matt's a real Corvette guy.
that's an interesting Corvette.
Yeah.
It had a lot of good write-ups. This car here, I've been trying to buy the real car, the Spirit of 76. This is the car that ran at Le Mans. I was supposed to be the driver of this car with Jacques Lafitte and Greenwood. We were guests of the U.S. government during, the French government. It was the bicentennial year, and we were the red, white, and blue Corvette guys. So we were invited to go. And if you look up at this picture on the wall here, Fran, scope in on that, you can see that's the front straight at Le Mans early in the race. And that's my car in the upper right-hand corner. And when I said to John, why are the Porsches ahead of it? He looked at me and smiled and said I was lapping them. So that was the right answer. Although I got knocked off the driving team, which I regret to this day, because I was working for my father. He wouldn't let me go. He said, "You're not going." I said, "Well, I'm going to take the vacation." He says, "You're not going. If you go, you're fired. You can't work here anymore." I needed the job, so I didn't go. And they put Bert Greenwood in instead of me. I said, "Take my car, and it's all set to go." And then they used the French rally driver, Bernard Darnacqui. So that was the driving team. Lafitte got pulled out as well. So I'd like to take a car like this back to the classic Le Mans, but I'm talking with them about trying to get the originality of the car so it's 100% acceptable for the FIA historic passport. I'll work with Bob and Bill Riley on that. They were the original guys they still have the original plans for this car. 89 Corvette GT1 national champion. Rare thing about, I bought that car in 89. Rare thing about it is it has no frame forward of the firewall. It's a stressed member. The engine's bolted to an aluminum backing plate right underneath the windshield, and all the suspension hangs off the front of the engine. This is probably the greatest, fastest, about to be most winningest vintage race car of all time if we ever roll it out. But they had Newman Haas go through the whole car about 3 or 4 years ago. They made it so nice, I'm afraid to drive it now. We've got a Weaver Camaro here. This is a Pro Drive Aston Martin. When I get the picture of the American flag with Jay Redmond, that's one of the Navy SEALs that we work with. He wrote a book called Trident. It's quite a story. If you go to the History Channel and you see the TV show called Navy SEALs, America's Secret Weapon, the first 20 minutes is usually on Jay and what he went through in the mission where he was rescuing one of his comrades, one of his team buddies they were caught in a kill box, Taliban kill box. And Jay went out to rescue Luke, who's also one of our friends and from this area. And Luke had been machine gunned from the waist down and got ready to be executed by the rest of them. Jay went out to stop him, took a round through the shoulder, took a round through the neck, took a round through his face, blew off half his face. So he's had quite a comeback story. He's quite a guy. We did an event with them. We've done 3 events with them. We've done 2 here in Chicago, where we've done some fundraising for Jay. And it's been very successful. We did an event out at the Peterson. We had Jay there, and we were fortunate and lucky enough to have Sharon Stone be our auctioneer. So it was a very special event. And we look forward to being able to do something like that again down the road. So we're real close to the team guys, and it's just fun to be involved with them and give them a little bit of payback for all they do for us.
That's fantastic.
Some of these pictures up here is a picture of the car that I told you about. That was an 89 GT1 Chevy. That's me driving it. You'll notice it's on fire. So that doesn't say much for my driving ability. It's one of the 3 fires that I've been in. But we're making that into a poster called Hot Day at the Office. The other one that's kind of interesting here is our Greenwood car in 75. If you look real carefully, if you look up at the leaderboard, you can see 75 right up here.
Yeah.
You can see 75 on the car, and then here's the flag, 75. It was given to the winner, which was our car.
That's fantastic.
It's kind of fun to have that.
Yeah.
Nick drove this Pro Drive Aston, and then he drove a GT3 Ferrari. This is another big block Corvette, 4.25 horse car. You know, you can't go wrong with a lot of horsepower. It's just never a bad thing.
No.
One of my favorite driving cars here is the 18 GT350. I always say, if I'm going to leave to drive to Aspen in 1 hour, this is probably one of my first picks. I've got what's the best drive with the flat plane crank and the manual transmission and every option in the world. It's a wonderful car. I've got a GT500 coming in about 2 weeks. I'm a good buddy of mine. He's a Ford dealer in Grand Rapids, Mark LaFontaine. We buy all our Ford trucks from him. I think we bought 21 trucks from him. And he buys some Ferraris from us, and he always gets me a Shelby. And so I've got a new GT500 coming, but I'm keeping this car because it's just too much fun to have, too much fun to drive. Stick is still fun.
Yep. Yep.
So we're going to go into what we call the West Wing.
Okay.
It's another wing on the building here. It's a little sloppy back here, but we put this wall up to hide all the mechanicals and so forth. Don't miss this. This is just like a TV show, right? West
This
Wing.
is fantastic. I've
In
been
the
to
old
West Wing.
building.
Yeah.
My office was 8 feet from the front door. I sat there for 23 years getting questions by anybody who happened to walk in or walk by the dealership. So I did my duty. Name me any car dealer that sits by the front door who has no door on his office. I gave directions. I replaced toilet paper. I put license plates on. I made phone calls for kids that were lost from school. 23 years. So when we finally moved into this building, this wing had been unused. So we renovated it. And I said, I'm going to move my office in here. My wife says, why do you need like a 10,000 square foot office? I said, no, we're going to chop this up, but I've got to have a little privacy finally. So I've had a lot of fun with this office.
So Rick, would you say that's other duties as assigned, those 23 years, having the office right by the front door? You've paid your dues?
I paid my dues.
Yeah.
I really did. Here's a picture I want you to see with some of the race cars I've had. But focus on the one in the center. That's me at 3 years old.
Oh, wow.
Sitting in my first car, upstate New York.
What is
and I'll tell you something.
Car?
Well, I don't know what it's meant to be, but I can tell you that I remember suiting up to go sit in that car like it was yesterday. I couldn't wait to put on my jacket and my rather Soviet-looking hat. I couldn't wait to go outside and sit in that car and pedal. I wanted to pedal my way down the hill to go faster, but they stopped me and made me ride on the driveway down to the sidewalk. And I remember like it was yesterday thinking, I love this. I want to have cars like this all the time. I want to drive race cars. I want to drive fast. I remember it like it was yesterday. So it's kind of fun to see the picture and then see where it kind of morphed into all the other cars.
I love it. I love it.
And he's got a lot of different photos and pictures of Road America. Here's a little bit more on some things we've done with Jay Redmond.
Yep.
Which was always fun. That's a motor that we developed with Rocket Sports with Paul Gentilozzi. We were going to run a Aston Martin powered Daytona prototype. That was a really good idea in 06 and 07, but by the time we had the car ready, it was 08, and the recession wasn't agreeing with our budgets for what was smart to be doing. So we kind of gave that up. Does Jess need to get in here?
She's inside.
Oh, okay. Okay. She's being so quiet. I didn't know you were in here. So lots of photos. This is probably the most disheveled part of the dealership. I've been walking around telling everybody everything's got to be neat and clean and declutter it and make it look good, make it Penske perfect. and my office really isn't really what it should be at this point. But
Oh,
I've got so many photos. I'm trying to pull them up. This is a conference room area through here. We call it the situation room. We've taken kind of a military jargon on everything that we do here because of our relationship with the SEALs. We've got a dining room around the corner. This was 2 offices, actually. This building, previous to us moving in, was owned by a company that had a patent that had a solution to clean printing presses. They sold jugs of water for $30 a gallon for 30 years. It was 96% water, 4% gum extract. Of course, then laser printing came in. They made so much money they didn't care. But this was kind of the scientific lab. So we turned it into 2 offices, kind of a nice sitting office, kind of more of a working office here. A lot of memos from being an Aston dealer for so long, and the Ferrari things from Beverly Hills. That shield in back was the hood of a 928. One of our body guys made that as a gift for me. I'm probably afraid to ask how many thousands of hours he put into that thing. That he probably silently billed me for, but it was worth it because it's nice. The other fun thing, among other things, this is a letter from 1979 telling me I can't be a Ferrari dealer. And then the letter down below is from Mr. Ferrari, Enzo Ferrari, in 1983 when I was a dealer, welcoming me to being in Ferrari.
So Rick, you can't leave me with that. So why were they telling you could not be a Ferrari dealer?
They were saying that they had a shortage of cars, and that they wouldn't be able to supply enough cars. And the guy, and I called the guy on the phone. I started to really kind of argue with him. He says, "You know what? Call me in the next recession." Well, that was 1979. He was in a recession at that point. So by the time I actually secured the contract from Ferrari, it was 1982. Prime was 21.5%.
Oh.
And the bankers were giving me the privilege of borrowing at 2 points over. So I paid 23.5% for capital during the startup years, which, there's 2 or 3 cocktail stories between almost any one of these things I've just told you. We don't have enough time to go into them in one setting, but we're just scratching the surface on some of the things that have been memorable for me. I was at Chevrolet from 71, actually late 71, 72 to 79, working with my father, which, was wonderful in many ways. As I say, it was the best of times and the worst of times. I resigned in 79 because, frankly, we were too much alike. I wanted to be more around people that were buying cars because they wanted to, not because they had to. And so I resigned at that point. And then went on trying to put together some deals. So it's turned out to be very interesting. So far as I'm concerned, I've never had a real job since then. But that's fine with me because I'm really having a great time. I have a lot of fun. I have for a long time. I've had a lot of fun my whole life, but this is really a lot of fun. Working with the SEALs, working with Ferrari, getting to drive the race cars. Man, are you kidding me? Some people say, "When will you retire?" And I go, "Retire from what?" This is as good as it gets. I mean, I'm loving this. I got a lot of stuff to do yet. We got to set that new top speed number for the F40 anyway. So I can go on and on, Spence, but that's kind of the quick version of the tour.
That's fantastic, Rick. Why don't Ivana, why don't we unpin our screens and go into gallery view, see if there are any questions for Rick.
I'm going to sit on the couch here.
Yeah.
Sure.
Let's go into gallery view here. I'll get my camera back on. There we go. So Rick,
is Chuck Wegner on the line?
Let's see. Chuck, are you on the line?
He's probably muted.
Yeah, I felt he was in there earlier. Well, we've got a question here from the chat, Rick.
Sure.
Jim asks, has your service department done any certification inspections for the Ferrari Classic program?
Yes, we're one of the Classic A certified dealers. So we do probably 10 to 15 of those a year. And that's been a more and more popular program. Very interesting program, actually. It met with a lot of resistance when it first came out. In fact, I ended up writing the front page for the Ferrari Market Letter, kind of giving the dealer perspective on why it was important to preserve the originality of the car from Ferrari's standpoint. And that it would serve well over time to bake in the value of all these cars. And I think it's turned out that it's had a lot to do with it, because even at the auctions, they'll announce the car, they'll say this is a Red Book certified car, or they generally mispronounce Classic A and go, this is a classic prepared, classic, it's not, it's Classic K is the correct pronunciation, but it makes a difference in the value of the car. And Ferrari certifies everything. We have to send about 150 pictures in, and then it goes right to Maranello, and they go through everything for about 2 months, and then they tell us what we need to do.
So Rick, go ahead, Larry.
Rick, how many technicians do you have, and where do you find them?
Well, we have 5 right now, and we've got about to add the 6th and an apprentice. And previous to our going to the team concept in the service department, we had a terrible time finding technicians. Since 16, when we focused on Ferrari, we changed all of our compensation plans around. I have no problem getting technicians now. In fact, we have a waiting list of the #1 technicians from most of the major brands around the Chicago area to come here because of our compensation plan, because of our team concept, because of how we support our guys, and we give everybody the opportunity to make money. We pay our guys, for example, one little thing, on a clock hour. I don't want anybody racing while they're working on a car. That'd be like telling an airplane mechanic, hurry up and get this job done. That's the last thing you want to do. Or you don't want to tell a doctor who's working on your heart, hurry up, I got to go somewhere. So what we do is we pay our guys the clock hour or a book hour. If they work for 10 hours, they know they're going to get 10 hours of pay. If they book 12 or 13 hours, they get the greater, they get 12 or 13. If the time is only 7 or 8 hours, that was a book, they still get 10 hours if that's what it took them. And we absorb that. We think it's a good investment.
Oh.
So we treat them very fairly, in my opinion. There's nothing I won't do for these guys, nothing, to support the team. For example, when we were flying to go to training, I told them, if you wear proper Ferrari gear, we used to fly to New Jersey 4 times a year and Italy once, and you dress up appropriately, then you travel first class. If you don't want to do that, that's your choice, and you can fly coach. It's up to you. But as a Ferrari technician, if you're branded Ferrari, you should be traveling first class, because that's the investment you've made in the brand and your career. We buy seasonal uniforms. We go overboard on the compensation in terms of making it safe for them. We get them the best tools, the best toolboxes, the best lifts. We have our lifts inspected. We keep everything clean. So we really go out of our way to try and attract the techs. The other big thing we do is we have 3 trucks that we operate, and we will pick up and deliver a car that wants service, a Ferrari, within about 700 miles of the dealership at no charge, with the trucks that we own, which are brand new, all fully enclosed 48-foot Ferrari red trailers and military trained drivers. I mean, it's a beautiful execution in uniform. And that's how we deliver our new cars and our pre-owned cars. We've pushed out over 700 miles sometimes. We've gone as far as 1,200 in special circumstances, but we don't charge for it, because I call that the Amazon effect. Anything I can do to save the client's time is a big win. If it's a win for them, it's a win for me. So we're pulling in a lot of service that way. Our trucks are rarely running empty. We run about 300,000 miles a year with 3 drivers. We do about 500 tows, and we rarely run empty, either direction. So it's building, and we have a 4th trailer in build right now. We're pretty proud of that. That's how we support our tech. It's a long answer to your question, Larry, but there isn't anything we won't do for these techs. But that being said, I expect them to give me, extreme focus. And I do the best I can do for them, and I just ask that they do the same for the clients and for Ferrari. And they do. And they do. The other interesting thing I find is that 3 of our 5 guys right now are Mexican. And I would have never thought that 10 or 15 years ago.
Huh.
And it's been, the 4th guy we're talking to is Mexican as well. It's interesting. They want to work, they like to learn, and they work hard. We've got a great relationship with these guys. They're really fun. They're like brothers to me. All of them are. We really have a terrific team. I'm a very small micro part of the team.
Wow.
And they make all the decisions. When I instituted the team in 2016, we had just had to put our service manager and his assistant. Our service manager was a functioning alcoholic. He was going to kill himself. He was drinking himself to death. We had to put him in the hospital. He wouldn't go in because he thought that he'd never come back. We got him in the hospital, and then he couldn't come back because he was in bad shape. But we kept him on salary till he found another job, and which was a while actually, but that was the right thing to do. So everybody said, "Well, my God, we sold 4 of the 5 franchises. They're gone now. The service manager's gone. His assistant's gone. There were just 3 of us left there. We had 2 Ferrari mechanics at that point. What are we going to do?" And it just hit me like a bulb. It's just like the SEALs that do. It's all about the team now. So we're not going to go hire another new guy and break him in. We're going to form a team right now, and we're the team, and I'm on it. And my job is to back you up 100%. And your job is to back up the next guy 100%. I will turn over complete decision-making authority to the team. Unless I tell you I'll never override one of your decisions, I will do my best to convince you if I think you're wrong, but the final decision will be yours. And I can tell you that since 2016, I have never, not one time, had to override a decision or feel that I really had to talk him out of something. The team has grown it from 2 Ferrari guys to 5+ right now. And we're still growing, and we've gone from 1 truck and trailer to 3 with 1 in build, and they've made better decisions, way better than I could have by myself. And everything they've done, I've supported 100%. It's pretty phenomenal. I'm trying to get the same thing working in the sales department now. And, I'm probably on about the 30-yard line with that. I'm getting there. It's a different culture, but we're getting there. So it's really exciting. It's a big takeaway from the SEALs, a huge takeaway for us.
Wow. Sounds like a great concept. Congratulations.
Well, I'm real proud of our relationship with these guys and everything that we've learned from them, and to be able to translate it right into business, and then have Ferrari last fall recognize us as one of the top 3 service departments in the world. I'll tell you, that was a very wonderful moment for me. I was in Rome when we heard that news, so it couldn't have been more exciting, or it couldn't have been a better setting. I couldn't have been more proud to be part of that team. So really, really special.
That's great.
Yeah, it's really inspirational to hear what you've done there, Rick. And just to remind everyone, you have one of the largest Ferrari dealerships in the world. Am I right?
Well, the campus is probably the largest one in the world, and
Largest in the world.
numbers wise, there's no one. That's a pretty guarded secret. That's like the formula for Coca-Cola a little bit. So, but we're up there, and we're working our way to try and continue to build it, and we're going to continue to do that. And we're concentrated more on the quality than the volume end of it, but we're cognizant that it needs to grow as well, but we can grow it through pre-owned and service at almost any pace we decide, which is where we spend a lot of our time.
So Rick, I'd be remiss if not acknowledging we do have a special guest on today. Your brother, Rob Mancuso, is on. Rob, any questions you'd like to ask your brother? Not to put you on the spot or anything, as
I've got Spence, I've got 100 questions, and none of them are appropriate for this setting.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But I will add that my background in the business is more with mainstream automotive, Honda, Chevy, Cadillac, cars like that. And I'm spending more and more time as I've gotten older with my brother at his dealership, which is the other side of the business, if you will. And it's absolutely been fascinating for me to be around the Ferrari aesthetic and the team concept, and we're never too old to learn. And the place is fabulous, and everything he said is exactly right. He's a pretty humble guy, but he grew this thing from no cars to what it is today, and it makes the whole family proud. You know, we're going to celebrate 100 years in the automobile business in 2023.
Wow.
That's not that far off. So we're talking now about how we're going to address that, and we've got the perfect venue here to do such things. So we'll be talking about that in the future as well.
Well, we'd love the.
There's been a few bar fights along the way.
Well,
I-
we'd
I
love
have
to
a
be there to
suggestion.
celebrate with you.
How you can celebrate. You can give a new Ferrari to all the drivers club members.
You know, Spence has suggested that. So we're kind of working on it now. We don't know whether it should be the 1/8 or the 1/16 size version, but Spence was pushing for the full size.
Oh,
Yeah.
I have to tell an Edsel Ford story, just one, and maybe it's part of the closing. But in 1960, I graduated from Regis College in 1968. And those years, everybody was about to get drafted. So we just were killing time till we went into the service. It took me about 3 years to find out that I wasn't going to be drafted because of a physical ailment. But I graduated in 1968. I was an extremely competent skier. And I wasn't much of a student. I didn't like things that didn't have pictures in them. So, and I was always sketching cars anyway, from grade school on, kindergarten on. But anyway, my father thought in the meantime, I need some real education. So somehow he got me into the Babson Institute in Boston, grad school. And that was a 2-year program. So I was there for 1 year. And about 2 months into it, I was down at the commissary one day and I was driving a Corvette. And I pulled up behind a blue Shelby GT500. And I get out of the car at the same time this other guy's getting out of the car. We started just talking. And we talked for about an hour on cars. We didn't even know each other's names or anything. And right at the very end, he said, "Oh, I'm sorry. Rick Mancuso, my dad's a Chevy dealer in Chicago." He says, "Well, I'm Edsel Ford." I said, "Edsel Ford?" He goes, "Yeah, you know." I said, "Yeah, I know. Ford. I know the nameplate." So we got to be kind of friends at that point. And a few weeks later, I saw him running a Gymkhana up there. And, you know, he lit everybody up. He knew what he was doing behind the wheel of his GT500. And so he was a freshman and I was a grad student. So we were separated by about 4 years. So at various times during I was there that year, whenever we have our parties, I would always make sure to invite Edsel because I liked him and we could talk about cars and he was a good guy. And so we got to know each other. And over the last, several years, we keep running into each other at auctions and so forth. So it's been nice. I've always felt a particular closeness to Ford. Because of that and because of Edsel. So it's very, very rewarding for me to be a part of this Drivers Club.
Well, Rick, I'm sure Edsel will be watching the replay of this on YouTube. So he'll be, I know, smiling. I'll make sure
he's a great
he
guy.
tunes into the end. I did want to share with you, William, on the chat here said, if the Ferrari isn't possible, thanks for bringing that up, Larry, but if the Ferrari wasn't possible, he would settle for box seats to the 2023 World Series at Wrigley Field.
Okay, well now at least we've scaled this down to the reasonable situation. So
there we go.
It might be less expensive to do the Ferrari, but we'll see.
Exactly. Any other questions for Rick? I know go ahead.
Rick, what did you drive to work today?
I drove a G65 Mercedes, and I have 3 primary cars, mood cars. I've got the G65, I've got the Shelby GT350, which I'm driving tonight, by the way, and I've got a Lusso Ferrari. Now, I've got some other cars around too, so I'm not complaining. I'm doing okay.
Okay.
Today I drove the G65.
Okay.
Which is really fun.
Is it snowing in Chicago yet?
No, it's not. I played tennis this morning outside.
Right.
It's high 60s. It's going to be in the 70s over the weekend until Monday or so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, it's really nice. I drove it just because I felt like driving it, and we're putting the radar detector in my Lusso, and I've got summer tires on the GT350. I'm not supposed to drive it when it's under 45 degrees. So I've got 5 days of clearance to go out and have it make some noise and enjoy the manual transmission.
Okay.
Rick, I have to tell you, this has been a really fun hour for the Drivers Club. We've learned a lot. We feel like we've gotten to know you a little bit better and spent some time there in Chicago. So can't thank you enough for doing this for us. And again, we hope to be able to see you in person one of these days.
Yeah, me too.
Put together a trip to Chicago.
Well, anytime, if there's anything we can do on our end, you know, with Henry Ford, we're in. We enjoy the relationship and everything that you do, Spence. And it's just fun to be a micro part of this whole thing. And I feel a very close relationship to the Ford family as well. Even though I kept referencing Mr. Penske, but Edsel and I have been friends for an awful long time. And who doesn't like Roger anyway? Everybody loves Roger.
We love Roger. He's one of our life trustees. And
Absolutely, yes.
So he's part of the family too. So Rick, our thanks to you. Larry, as always, thanks to you for leading this group. And this is again our way of saying thank you to you for all you do to support the Henry Ford. So
well, happy to do so. My pleasure anytime. And we can do a rerun at your convenience on anything you want. So we're in. Just count on us.
We'll look forward to it. All right. Well, if it's Thursday, it's Under the Hood with Matt Anderson. Thanks everyone for your time. We look forward to seeing you 2 weeks from today. Take care. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rick. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.